What's going on, everybody? Hello, and welcome back to another episode of The Welch Report with me, Jean-Luc Welch. Yes, sir, we are back. Make some noise. Clap it up, get excited wherever you are. We got so much to talk about today, and my gosh, talk about a jam-packed episode with shocking news from around the world, especially with Daniel Dubois beating Anthony Joshua, blowing up the system of boxing and sports as a whole. Everybody's trying to figure out what the would happen. How could this not travesty, but this monumental upset in what was supposed to be the resurgence of Anthony Joshua, how could this take place? What exactly caused all this to go about? Oh gosh, it's so much. I can really, my goodness, that's really all I can say. My word, it is ridiculous. It is insane. It's preposterous that this is the landscape of boxing that we're seeing today. But hey, it is what it is. We're going to break down the fight. We're going to get our reactions to it. Is Joshua over? Should he retire? At this point, is that too forward thinking of us and too over exaggerating of us as fans? All that and more is going to be covered right here on this show. Again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. And please, before we even get started, leave a like on the video. Comment your thoughts and opinions. Subscribe to the channel and share the show with everybody that you know so we can keep on building up this empire together. Also, don't forget, we live. Comment what you got and what you want to talk about. Comment your opinions. If you disagree, we can go back and forth. If you want to just say hi, say what's up, comment down below. Absolutely. Please like the stream, like the show. We can get this into the algorithm, push it so everybody comes in to the hottest show in all the globe right here on The Welch Report. And we're available on every podcasting platform, so you can listen to us at any time and at all times to relive all this excitement that we got in store for you. But again, all that self-promotion aside, we got to cover boxing. We got to talk about AJ and Dubois. And since we're talking about boxing, it is time to step into the ring. That's right. Oh yeah. Ring the bell. Let's get it started. Round one of this show going underway. Talking about the monumental upset that we saw over this past weekend with Anthony Joshua not just getting knocked out cold by Daniel Dubois in one of the bigger upsets in recent modern day boxing history, as we just alluded to earlier in the intro to the show. Was supposed to be AJ's culmination of his resurgence back at the top of the mountain, as well as test for Daniel Dubois, with him also having a resurgence of his own in his career. But this was supposed to be a lopsided affair. This was supposed to be a situation where, with Dubois getting caught by the right hand by Herkovich in his last fight, though it was very impressive that he powered through, the perceived precision, power, speed, and all-around better boxing acumen of Anthony Joshua was supposed to be the very thing that got him out of there relatively easily. And hey, let me tell you something. I was wrong. I will be the first to admit I was completely wrong on this fight. Yes, indeed. I said that this was going to be a monumental lopsided win on the side of AJ, setting up a potential undisputed opportunity. But oh, lo and behold, I was completely wrong. And Daniel Dubois came to play. Daniel Dubois showed up. Daniel Dubois shook up the entire landscape of the heavyweight division. And so how exactly did this happen? Well, let's break the fight down, shall we, as we delve into the world of boxing with, again, round one. How was it that we saw AJ coming about loose, comfortable, walking into the ring, looked determined, looked mean, like we had seen him in his last couple fights. Nothing out of the ordinary for me. What I expected from AJ with the newfound mentality that he had been taking on after his loss to Usyk, wanting to go and destroy everybody. Forget the nice guy mentality. Forget the so PR friendly, cordial brother. Nah, I'm here to destroy everybody that gets in my way, and I'm not gonna guard or mask my emotions if I want you gone. That's exactly what he was. And it was seemingly working because of his constant buildup of from Franklin to Wallin. And now, again, what was supposed to be to Dubois or Ngannou and then Dubois. Boom. Everything seemed like it was on the up and up, and the mentality was working. But round one, what happens? Comes out loose, comes out comfortable, and Dubois just comes with a destructive, pressuring, demoralizing force that just won't leave AJ alone. Constantly getting on the front foot, constantly popping out that jab, beating the jab of Joshua, and inevitably knocking him down with a big looping overhand right. That was the story of the entire night. Shakes AJ up, puts him down on the mat, has us all questioning, well, it's Andy Ruiz and AJ all over again. Will he have the fight? Will he have the will to be able to come back and essentially turn this fight around? Or will he quit like we had seen him do in his last fight when he got knocked down and seemingly get all tentative and get uncomfortable and be scared of what was coming at him? But ironically enough, that's not what happened. He got up, kept on trying to fight, kept on trying to paw that jab, kept on trying to box Dubois. Dubois turned it into a fight by constantly rushing and pressuring on AJ. And it was working flawlessly, continually hurting AJ multiple times with hooks and with uppercuts, blitzing AJ, beating him with the jab on the inside and on the outside, ironically enough, and was making it so that AJ never got comfortable. And AJ was never able to get any sort of real control. And we'll touch on control a little bit later. But again, even still, in round two, again, hurt, almost gets knocked down again. And then round three, knocked down again by Daniel Dubois. Round four, knocked down again by Daniel Dubois. Almost been knocked down twice, I believe. But one was counted as a slip. Next thing you know, round five finally has a moniker of success. Gets one clean right hand on Dubois, and it seemed like the fight was going to turn around. Seemed like everything was going to be, hey, this is the AJ that we were looking for, an AJ that can fight back, an AJ that wouldn't be scared of his power, but trust himself, trust his ability, trust his pedigree, and trust his willingness to be able to win by any means necessary. With the same mentality as George Foreman of the past when he was getting ready to lose to Ron Lyle. I would rather die than lose again. That's what we saw AJ have in seemingly his confidence in that slim moment. But what do you know? After that highest of highs, that seemed like a comeback, we see Dubois come back still with a counter right hand and absolutely end the show. And ladies and gentlemen, we saw the end of AJ in this fight with a knockout, and you're still retaining IBF heavyweight champion Daniel Dubois in one of the most shocking and one of the more exciting nights in boxing, at least in British boxing history. The prodigal son was supposed to return, but instead he fell flat on his face. Literally was delirious. Did not know where he was, and we had never seen AJ in this type of situation before. We've seen him get beat, sure. We've seen him get caught, like with Andy Ruiz. We've seen him get outboxed by better boxers like with Usyk in both instances, though the second fight was the better fight for AJ. Still, we've seen him get beat. We've seen him get TKO'd. We have never seen this man cold, hard, knocked out, nor absolutely dominated in the fashion that we saw from Daniel Dubois. This was the first instance that I can ever say that we saw AJ completely and utterly destroyed. There is no two ways about it. This was AJ's worst loss of his career. This is worse than Ruiz. This is worse than any of the Usyk fights. This is a situation you didn't get caught with a shot that just, boom, put you out. You got destroyed and beaten every which way. You got Dubois outboxed you in terms of AJ. In fact, that's what we need to go to next. What exactly went wrong for Anthony Joshua? What exactly transpired that caused this whole debacle, this absolute shocking development to happen? This destruction from somebody that was supposed to be well below AJ's level, even though Dubois had been on a resurgence. And we're going to get to and talk about Dubois' resurgence later, but strictly sticking with Anthony Joshua for now. What went wrong? Well, it was a multitude of things, but the biggest of which all revolve around one simple thing. And that thing is defense. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, we saw one of the worst defensive performances that we've ever seen from somebody of the caliber of Anthony Joshua. Wholeheartedly. It was almost mind-boggling how loose, yes, he looked comfortable, but how just almost lackadaisical, nonchalant that we saw AJ look in this fight, with him seemingly being like, yeah, I'm good, I'm okay, this ain't gonna last forever. Never brought his lead hand up, never got a tight guard, never, even after he had gotten hurt, rocked and put down. This wasn't a situation where, hey, it was just too much for him to bear. No, a simple adjustment could have potentially mitigated a lot of the damage that we saw AJ take in this fight. Yet, it didn't happen. He never made that one simple adjustment. Kept on stepping back out directly in the center line. Never moved his head off the center line. Kept exiting in the same way. We tried to use footwork, but Dubois kept cutting his angles off and would continually stalk AJ down, walk AJ down, bully AJ to where he wanted to go, pressure him to make him make mistakes every single time out. It was, again, a masterful display by Daniel Dubois. However, when it came to Anthony Joshua, his defense failed. The game plan was horrible. Not to mention that last thing in the corner before he got knocked down, when his corner, is it Ben Davison? I forget who his trainer is in terms of his cornerman, but had essentially said, go roll the dice, jab, double up with the jab, roll the dice, and let's see what happens. Essentially, again, paraphrasing, of course, you can go find the whole corner interaction on YouTube and various social media websites, but still, horrible advice. And he took it, and he did it, and it ended with him on the floor with his butt literally looking up to the sky. It was incredible in the worst way possible. And he kept making every mistake that I've never seen him make before on the defensive end. And when it came to offensively, the brother, ironically enough, was not nearly as sharp as we've seen him in the past with his punches. And it's a very interesting affair in terms of what exactly caused all this to transpire. This was not the AJ that I know I have seen in the past. It wasn't. Even in his losses in the past, even in his wins that we were saying, where is the old AJ? Even in that situation, we never saw this. Never saw this. What exactly was going wrong? And what was going wrong, again, defensively, he was lax. He was lazy. To some degree, not to some degree, to a detrimental degree. He was lazy. He was a person that did not make the correct adjustment when it seemed like it was logical, nay, paramount for you to actively make a simple adjustment, tighten up your guard, smother the forward pressure of Dubois so that he couldn't come in with that, again, momentum to be able to lead up with the double jab and land the overhand right. Take away the space so that you can take away the best weapon that's been landing for him all night long, if necessary. Because outboxing the brother wasn't working. In fact, you got outboxed by Daniel Dubois for the entirety of the fight. You could not get away from the pressure. We've seen other fighters this a couple weeks ago. Caleb Plant versus McCumbee. He couldn't outbox the pressure fighter, even though he should have been the better boxer. What do? Switched up his tactic. Went in for the aggression, closed the distance, made it so that if you can fight, show me you can fight on the inside. Show me that you have the ability, without the momentum of coming forward, to come and make something happen. Strictly on the inside work. Where is your talent? That's what Caleb Plant did to McCumbee. We could have seen Joshua potentially do the same thing. I'm not saying it would have changed anything, but I'm saying it would have done something to mitigate what was consistently working for Daniel Dubois, which was with you trying to get away from the pressure of Dubois. Dubois was able to continually have that forward rolling pressure, be able to come and double up on the jab while always moving forward, making it so you're always on the back foot, constantly closing the distance more and more and more, so that when he would commit and extend fully, boom, with you backing up, you land right into where his punch wants to go. Because you literally are stepping back into the landing zone instead of smothering it. It would have been an option, but he didn't do it. There's so much that shocked me on the defensive end as to why we saw AJ be so bad in a department that we normally say he's very good technically, good distance manager, good at being able to use his jab to control space, good at being able to, again, read and slip and get out the way of punches, blocking punches when necessary, defensively responsible. This was the reputation of Anthony Joshua when he was at his best. Even when he was lax, it was still, hey, you got the technical stuff down, but you've lost the aggression. You've lost the confidence in your power and in your ability to end the fight, but you still retain all your other key attributes. Now, if you add on the confidence again, where you can potentially get back to the AJ of old that we were all clamoring for. And it's a shock to the system for the entirety of boxing, but especially for Anthony Joshua, because this is never what we saw for all this time. And it's a simple adjustment. We even saw in the knockdown, when he got knocked out. You mean to tell me you have him hurt, finally. You have him on the ropes, finally. But you know what he's been doing to you the entire fight long. You throw an uppercut to try to end the show, a long uppercut, when you literally could have just pumped out your jab, maybe once, get a feint, and then land another right hand, because you already landed twice already. Instead of switching up to such a drastic degree with a winding uppercut that you get beat with a short right hand by Dubois, of course it's going to happen. Your punch selection was horrible. And on top of that, if you had just blocked while throwing the uppercut, maybe even though it was a dumb shot that you threw, it would have been something you would have survived potentially. And you could have kept on the pressure, and the fight could have potentially turned around in your favor. That is on you. You, Anthony Joshua, you messed up. That was ridiculous. That was preposterous. And the ironic thing, he was warned about what was coming when he hurt Dubois. When he landed that right hand, that naked right hand on Dubois with no setup whatsoever right after the clinch in the 5th round. He goes and lands another right hand, gets him in the corner. Dubois, after that second right hand, counters with another overhand right of his own. AJ, it grazes him. Well, it hits him, not grazes him. It hits him. But he gets his guard up. And there's a warning. Hey, it's still there. That right hand's still there. He gets into the posture of blocking and being defensively sound while closing distance for a split second. And then it immediately brings that left hand back down and throws that uppercut with no guard on this side of his face for a window. Next thing you know, a short right hand, getting one of the weakest punches that we saw Dubois throw in this fight. That's what knocks out AJ. For all the damage that he took, that's the shot. All because he didn't keep his guard up. Didn't keep his left hand defensively responsible. Wasn't responsible for the entirety of the fight. How did this get away in training camp? How did this get instilled in him during the lead up to this fight? How in the world did this happen that we see AJ having this type of issue defensively when it's never been something that we have seen as a problem for AJ in the past? We've said he's had a glass jaw. We've never said he's been bad defensively. We've never said it. I have been saying that AJ is one of the most well-rounded heavyweights in the world. Legitimately. He was great at nearly everything. An elite power puncher. Had good to great footwork. Had good to great defense. Was good to great at controlling distance. He was, again, the textbook boxer puncher. That's what he was. That's what we understood him as. That's what made him so dangerous. And he was a physical specimen that could also have the athleticism over everybody else in the division. With them also being 6'5", 6'6", somewhere around that range, the brother is an Adonis. And he's got the technical ability and the hand speed and the fundamental knowledge to be able to be great. I was saying he was one of the most fundamental boxers in the heavyweight division outright. Now, what is he? Really, what is he? What is Anthony Joshua now? How did we get to this point? And that's really what I want to touch on. How we got here is because AJ has run into the same stopgap that we saw with Joe Joyce. Remember when Joe Joyce was running through the division? And then what happened? He goes and fights Zhang and gets battered with left hands over and over and over. Comes back, then goes and gets battered with left hands again. This time gets knocked out in quicker fashion and more dominating fashion than the last time. And why was that the case? Because he could not blend offense and defense perfectly with his style. It was an awkward, guard up here, trying to stiff him on with his hand out here. It looked ridiculous. It looked stupid. It got him knocked out. And Zhang destroyed him. Chisora just beat. And I think Chisora just knocked out. No, not knocked out. But he knocked down Joe Joyce and also beat him. But again, it's because he's never been a great defensive fighter. Relying on the chin. Now that chin is wary, hey, you are susceptible to big damage. When it comes to AJ, he was defensively sound and had the perfect blend of offense and defense. Though, yes, the weak chin was always a factor. The reason why it was hidden for so long up until Andy Ruiz was because of the fact that he was so defensively responsible. Even when we saw AJ go through and going through his resurgence, going through his rebuilding process, like with Derrick James, and we were saying that he was too timid, that needed to be more aggressive, that where was the old offensive firepower that we knew AJ had? Even in that whole debacle, the whole criticism, he was still always responsible fundamentally. If anything, he got more fundamental when he was training under Derrick James. Up until the loss to Ruiz. And all the way, with all the wins and all, the Olympic medal, being one of the younger champions, going through beating Klitschko, all of that. We had seen him be able to box, be defensive, and still be aggressive and get the job done. Do and trust his power. No qualms. After Ruiz, he became more defensive, better boxer, better user of his jab and all that stuff. So he got better fundamentally. He just lost what was the killer instinct that we had known AJ for all this time. But he was still fundamental. Going under Derrick James, he even got even tighter with his defensive ability. Guard was always high up here, like we've seen Derrick James teach other boxers, like with Errol Spence Jr. We've seen AJ always be defensive, always be responsible up until today. Up until last week, excuse me. Now, it's what happened? What in the world happened that caused this type of debacle? And it's just because he lost there's a disconnect now. There is a disconnect with AJ. Because in this fight, he was cool, calm, and collected, ready to throw that right hand. And ironically enough, we talked about how I was going to touch on control in this fight. AJ is a fighter that, with everything, throughout his entire career, has relied on control. The use of the jab is what sets up every other aspect of his offense. He gets that down, now he's able to open up with more combinations a lot more comfortably. Even in the past, before the Ruiz fight, it was, boom. Once he gets you down with that jab and controlling what the distance is, controlling the pace by controlling the entire flow of whatever offense comes his way and whatever offense he is throwing, that's what gets him in rhythm, per se. That's what gets him going. That's what gets him into the flow of being one of the more destructive boxers that we've seen. Otto Arlene, it was the jab that started the entire thing. It was. Pulev, it was the jab that started the entire thing. Klitschko, the jab is what it inevitably caused the flurry at the end that got him the victory in the fight of the year to become the heavyweight champion. The jab versus Ngannou was the very thing that set up the emphatic destruction and one of the best KOs we had seen in boxing that year. on what was supposed to be an iron chin. This was what we know about AJ. That jab controls everything, and it dictates the comfortability of of what AJ wants to do or what he can do. Now we see that if you can pressure him, take him out that element, force him into a dogfight, understanding that his chin is indeed lax and his chin is susceptible. Get out of the fundamental nature that AJ wants to put this fight in. Turn this into the war that we know AJ, while we know he's got the power to be able to go and compete with anybody, puts him in the most danger possible. You got a formula to win. You do. Especially now that we see that there's the disconnect with the defensive responsibility and the offensive firepower that AJ has. It used to be they were blended perfectly. Now they're completely separate. You saw in that fight, walking with his hands down, coming in, never put his guard up at all, constantly trying to use head movement. His chin was always in the air. The head movement was terrible. The chin placement was always right dead center. The footwork wasn't anywhere close to what it needed to be to get him out of dodge and actually maximize what that jab can be. There was a disconnect. It really was. And this is the problem that AJ falls into now. Now, instead of us saying, where is the old AJ offensively? Now we're asking, where is the old AJ defensively? It's a whole, we're back to square one. We are literally back to square one when it comes to Anthony Joshua. We are back to what we were asking about AJ when we were first trying to see where the world he was as a boxer. And initially we were saying, where's your offense? You're doing all this boxing, you're doing all this jabbing, but you're too tentative. Where is the aggression? Where is the willingness to go and try to end the show like we know you can do? Why aren't you setting up your bigger shots? Why are you essentially pulling the trigger or not pulling the trigger on major openings in your opponent's game that we know you can hit if you just commit to it? Where's the commitment? That was the initial argument with AJ. Where is your commitment? Where is your head? Where's your will to trust who you are? That's what we were saying. Now, at this stage, we're saying, what is your defense? Where is your fundamental ability? Where is your understanding of the basics of boxing, especially defensively, that we know you have? That we know you had in the past. Now we're asking for that old AJ. At this point, if AJ, we can say it like this. This is the perfect thing. This is what you need to understand. For everything about Anthony Joshua, AJ has schizophrenia. Split personality disorder. I believe that's the term. One of the two. At this point, he's got split personality disorder. Because there are two AJs at this point. There is the no respect, confident, walking through you, I'm going to beat you because I'm better than you, AJ, where the firepower is there, the willingness to throw is there, the confidence in his ability to end the night is there, but the defensive ability is gone. And then on the flip side of the coin, there's the defensively responsible AJ, what we would call at that point in time, based on history, the timid AJ. He's fundamentally sound. He uses his jab great. The technical ability is there. He doesn't take unnecessary chances. However, what happens? The brother doesn't do anything. The brother doesn't take any advantage of whatever opening comes his way. He's willingly holding himself back because he's too scared of getting hit. He's a schizophrenic. He's got two different sides that he can't blend together into one person. They are two separate things. They're two separate people. And we saw what came out this night was the AJ that was willing to say, I'm better than you. You can't do anything to me. I don't need basic fundamentals to get the job done. That's what we saw. That's what we saw. And what happened? He got destroyed. It just happened. It just happened. We've seen this with Joe Joyce. Now we're seeing it with AJ on a maybe not as detrimental level that we saw with Joe Joyce, where it was just impossible. But even still, this problem at this level, it's horrible. It's terrible. It is abysmal. AJ didn't have this problem when he fought Franklin. AJ didn't have this problem, at least to this degree, when he fought against Ngannou. AJ did not have the problem of no defense and seemingly a willingness to forego the fundamental basics. For the majority of his entire heavyweight run. This is one of the worst. This is one of the worst AJs I have ever seen. And I can say that confidently. And I don't say that lightly either. It's one of the worst Anthony Joshuas I had ever seen. And again, getting into Daniel Dubois as we switch, this is not a slight on Daniel Dubois at all. Daniel Dubois fought the best I had ever seen Daniel Dubois. We see as much of a redemption story as we were saying AJ was on in his career, with this fight culminating in a potential undisputed heavyweight opportunity. The icing on the cake. Daniel Dubois had a resurgence of his own. Remember, he lost to Joe Joyce, got TKO because of the eye. We were calling him a quitter, even though, again, that injury was severe enough. I completely understand. We shouldn't have been calling him a quitter, but we called him a quitter because he literally didn't continue. When everybody was saying, oh, you got to power through. Orbital socket was destroyed, and he needed to stop for his own health. Boom. Got labeled a quitter. Then goes and what happens? More fights down the line. Gets an opportunity with Usyk. Boom. Gets beat. Gets knocked out when it seemed like he could continue. Regardless of what you want to say about the low blow or not, though I don't think it was a low blow. But still, got dominated for the majority of the fight. Got outboxed and got outclassed. Then, when it seemed like he could have gotten up and continued in the fight, after that knockdown with that, what was it, lead jab? I believe, yeah, the jab of Usyk that caught him right on the side of the head. After he'd angled out. He didn't get up and he didn't continue. Boom. Fight's over. Quit. That's what people were saying. He quit. And I was saying, yeah, hey, you could have gotten up for that, at least from what it looked like. And you didn't. I don't know the boxer. The punch could have been more severe than I thought, but still, labeled a quitter. Then goes and what happens? Fights Jarrell Miller. And this is where, ladies and gentlemen, the real shift in Daniel Dubois comes about. Because everything that we've been saying about Daniel Dubois that he didn't have, he had in this fight. And I do mean everything. Everything. Jarrell Miller changed Daniel Dubois for the rest of his life. For the rest of his life. From the trash talk to the disrespect, all that leading up into the fight, to in-ring, constantly forcing Dubois to find another element of himself that he had never unlocked before in his young career. Jarrell Miller changed his brother. We saw, before our eyes, we saw Daniel Dubois turn into a different animal. We knew he was physical. We knew he was fast. We knew he was powerful. But we wanted to see, where can you dig to when you need to get something more out of who you are? And Jarrell Miller brought that out of Daniel Dubois in an absolute war of a fight. That was arguably fight of the night. Got him and knocked him out in the last 10 seconds of the 10th round. After seemingly being pushed to the brink, fought beyond what he thought he could do. Pushed beyond his stamina level. Pushed beyond his tiredness. Pushed beyond his fatigue. Pushed beyond the wall. And turned into a completely different fighter. And we saw it. And for the press conferences, we saw it against Hrgovic. We saw the confidence change. We saw the demeanor change. We saw the entire makeup of Dubois change. Hrgovic, he goes and fights. Next fight, boom. TKO, knocks him out. Gets landing with right hands all night long to a shocking degree. A very dangerous degree, if I'm being completely honest. What does he do then? Keeps on going. Doesn't even let it face him. All of a sudden gains a chin that we had never seen Dubois have in his career. Again, because of what happened with Usyk and with Joyce. Now, he's walking through right hands, flush, left, right, and center, pressuring Hrgovic to no end. Next thing you know, now Hrgovic can't get away. Now he's landing on Hrgovic, unloading, opening up, making Hrgovic legitimately look like, from the prospect that he was, who beat Zhang, though I thought Zhang had beat him, to now, hey, this Dubois is completely different. This is a different dog. This is a different animal. It's a different animal. It was a different animal. The confidence, the demeanor, the poise, the outright The human being of Dubois was shifted ever since Jarrell Miller. Ever since Jarrell Miller. Now we see against Anthony Joshua, he put everything he learned from all his other fights together. He put together how to mitigate the jab from Joyce. He put together how to get up from adversity, like with Usyk. He put together how to go to war and dig deep and outwill somebody from Jarrell Miller. The confidence from Jarrell Miller. To a degree, the almost audacity to think somebody can beat you. He gained that aspect from Jarrell Miller. And the willingness to dig deep and push on. He gained the heart from Jarrell Miller. He gained tenacity from Jarrell Miller. He gained, again, an iron chin from Hrgovic. Understanding, my gosh, I can take these shots and I can keep moving forward. I am bigger and stronger than these people. I'm going to use it. He gained that. And then with AJ, he put it all together on the biggest stage in front of 96,000 people, the biggest venue or the biggest attendance in Wembley Stadium history, the Mecca of Britain, the literal Rucker Park of boxing when it comes to Wembley Stadium. It's either that or Vegas. It's either that or the Garden. One of the two. But for boxing, it's hard to argue against Wembley Stadium. In the biggest fight of his career, when it seemed like we were going to see another, again, valiant effort, but coming up short again against an elite heavyweight, after coming up short to Joyce, who was at times seen as elite, after coming up short to Usyk, who has shown, yeah, that wasn't a fluke, after coming up short multiple times against the best competition. Now, you run into your own crossroads of this is your moment. And what do? You capitalize and you achieve it. And you go and you put it together. He fought AJ with no respect. He fought AJ beating him at his own game. He was faster than AJ. He was stronger than AJ, or at least just as strong as AJ. He was more determined than AJ. He did not let his offense off on AJ. He knew the game plan was to come in and make AJ turn this into a fight, not a boxing match. Because in a boxing match with AJ, you can get set up and get tired. In a fight, you got an opportunity to get that brother out of there. That's exactly what he did. Consistently using his jab better than I've ever seen him in his career. I've never seen Dubois have this proficiency when it comes to his ability to out-jab his opponent as the shorter man. As somebody who I've never seen with this level of boxing acumen, at least when utilizing one of the most basic punches in the sport. I knew his right hand was lethal. I knew his uppercut was lethal. Hooks are lethal too, but it wasn't, the setup was never something that was majorly there. Now, it's there. It's there. And he took everything he learned from everybody and instilled it into this fight. Never let AJ recover. Never made the mistake of making it so that AJ had time to think, had time to blink. Made it so that AJ was going to feel the power and pressure all round long. Was not afraid of what could come back at him, and made it so that if you land on me, great. But I got faith in everything I am, that if you get to me, I will still make it out and do what I need to do. Hence, exactly what happened in that last round, round 5, gets caught, gets hurt, backs up, still has his eyes locked on AJ, doesn't lose composure, doesn't lose his cool, doesn't lose his calm. Next thing you know, bam, counters with the apropos punch. As chill as could be, and just get, again, shock to everybody, myself included. But it's a testament to what Dubois is. He has reinvented himself. He has gone through the same road, though it was maybe overlooked by a lot of people, that AJ got through. And he came out on top. This was literally a crossroads of two people. One, a young lion turned into an old lion who was looking to get back to the mountaintop. After, again, to a degree, you could argue he failed himself with his lack of confidence for a number of years trying to find out who he was and what he wanted to be. Now, he goes and he makes himself, again, get into a spot where whoever wins this gets a shot at glory once again for the undisputed title. Then he becomes a champion right then and there with the IBF title. Who wants it more? We've talked about with AJ, the will is going to be the thing that gets you. Can you outwill your opponent with what you lost in your career in the past? That was the question. That was the question. And we see that, hey, he got beat. Plain and simple. Now, with that being said, I don't want to make it seem like that Anthony Joshua was, again, the same AJ in the past. This was a technical deficiency that got him knocked out. This wasn't a lack of heart by Anthony Joshua. Again, this is not like with Andy Ruiz. Let's get that straight right now. Andy Ruiz, he quit. He did. He got up, kept getting knocked down, got up, didn't answer the count, didn't move forward when the ref said he move forward, and literally stood there. We saw it. He quit and lost himself in that fight with Andy Ruiz. He did not quit in this fight. Regardless of what we want to say, AJ did not quit in this fight. We got to at least applaud that. We have to. We have to. Again, the technical deficiency was absolutely there, but he didn't quit. He showed heart. He showed determination. Even with that jab that wasn't working, he was still looking to set up punches. He was still trying to set up a game plan. He was still actively trying to gain back control with his best weapon, though it wasn't working. He was attempting to turn this fight around. He never lost confidence in himself. He was talking himself up in the corner. He was consistently saying and shaking his head, okay, yeah, you got me good. I'm still going to come back. Never lost what he wanted and what he needed. Understood the desperation of the moment. Never lost himself in terms of I am Anthony Joshua. He never did. We can't, for everything, we can't say that happened in this fight. It's preposterous to say that happened in this fight. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. We know AJ put his heart in this fight. He just got beat because of his terrible defense. Plain and simple. But the AJ that we have been looking for mentally, it was there. The brother literally went out on his shield. And we were saying this man was afraid to get hit for, 5 fights? Ever since Ruiz 2, Franklin, even with Otto Arlene, we had questions. With Ngannou, we had questions. Robert Elanius, we had questions. That whole timeline after Andy Ruiz, we were consistently asking, what are you going to be? Are you tentative, and why are you tentative? Are you going to continue to make yourself be this, again, a tepid, scared boxer, or are you going to come into your own and get back to what you used to be? That's what we were saying. AJ acted and composed himself like he did with Ngannou in this fight, where he didn't have respect for Dubois. He didn't see Dubois as on his level. He fought Dubois as if Dubois was nothing to him. He did. That's what he tried to do. Hence why he was so lax. But we see what happened. This time it was technical deficiencies that got AJ KO'd. But not his heart, not his mental game, not his mental fortitude. Because if it was mental, the fight would have been over by round 3. If it was mental, the fight would have been over probably by round 1 with that overhand right hand from Dubois that landed on AJ. That punch would have been the thing that ended the night. It would have. And by round 3, the whole fight would have been over. But the very fact that he kept on fighting back and he showed grit, he did. We have to say, okay, the mentality of AJ is back. Now, again, split personality, schizophrenia. You got parts of yourself, but you got to put it together. And if you don't, you're not going to be what you can be. You're really not. And all of this, again, this is going to be a heavyweight division show because there's so much to break down with all of this. With all of this. There's so much to break down with everything we've been seeing. This is a situation where now, what is up next for Dubois? What exactly can he go? He's got a shot at undisputed for the winner of Usyk versus Fury. Absolutely. He could get a rematch with Anthony Joshua potentially. Though a rematch with AJ, to get that clear, there is no rematch with Anthony Joshua. There is no signed contract saying that there is a rematch with Anthony Joshua. To get that straight right now. Again, This is the next segment. And also, if you're joining us, welcome to another episode of The Welch Report with me, Jean-Luc Welch, right here on YouTube and every podcasting platform imaginable. Please comment your thoughts and opinions on anything that we've been talking about. We'd love to interact with the fans and the viewers watching right now. But even still, as we continue on with the show with AJ and Dubois, reactions to everything, and breaking down what's next for the division as a whole. We have with AJ, or with Dubois, he can get a fight with the winner of Usyk Fury for the undisputed heavyweight title. Could rematch Joshua, even though there's no clause to rematch Joshua. From what I understand, when I researched, there's no clause written down that says that AJ has to rematch Dubois. Dubois can give him a rematch, but he doesn't have to. Could also fight Joseph Parker, could fight Jean, and potentially, he could go into an all-British war with Tyson Fury. Let's say something comes up, like we saw with Errol Spence. Injury, whatever happens, they don't get that rematch happening, and boom, contract's done. Turns to the rematch clause, bing, bang, boom. Dubois right now is on top of the mountain. Tyson Fury looking to get his shot again, recovering from injury, again, hypothetically. Boom. Another war. Fury versus Dubois. When he gets a shot at Usyk for the undisputed title. If Usyk has to pull out of that fight and the fight gets, again, the clause gets rendered null and void. But even still, there are a lot of matchups now that we were saying Dubois had no chance of winning. All of a sudden, I want to see Joseph Parker up against Dubois. I want to see Jean up against Dubois, even though I need to see Jean go and rematch Parker, because I believe they have a rematch. And Jean could have beaten Joseph Parker if Jean didn't gas out and committed more to his offense, rather than just being lackadaisical as the rounds went on in his fight with Joseph Parker. Because he could have won. He could have beat him. He could have knocked him out. The only person I had seen that ragdoll Joseph Parker like that in terms of with his punching power was AJ and who was it? Another guy, Joe Joyce. That's it. But if that fight don't happen, Dubois versus Jean for the IBF title, would not mind that at all. An aggressive power puncher in Dubois who has rejuvenated himself in every way imaginable versus Jean, the 40-year-old who's still one of the more dangerous opponents in the world, though he has been shown that his gas tank will be the thing that can beat him. Can Dubois pressure gas out Jean, or will Jean and that big left hand or that big right hook that we've now known that can put out people like Joe Joyce, will that be the thing that if he catches Dubois, boom, now this fight is completely different? Because say what you want, Jean is a good technical boxer. Yes, he is. His biggest weakness is his gas tank. If the brother had stamina, I would imagine he would be a champion right now. I genuinely would. I would imagine that if Jean had any form of stamina at all, we would see Jean as a heavyweight champion right now. We would see Jean as probably that top three, with Dubois being at the fourth. I could see that right now, but no, that's not what happened. But either way, every fight with Dubois is a big-time fight. Every fight with Dubois is a valuable fight. Every fight with Dubois is a fight that makes us want to see this brother step out and show out. My gosh, if he gets a little more charisma in him, you want to talk about a mega star. He's already a star right now. He's already a huge superstar. With him, again, beating and upsetting the odds. Going on a streak of fight of the night with Jarrell Miller, KOing or TKOing Hergovich, now going and knocking out Anthony Joshua was something that, again, clean knockout. I'm talking about counted out because you're on the mat. Nobody's done that to AJ. This is his star is it's made, but my gosh, it can glow even brighter if he takes that same confidence, sprinkles a little bit of Jarrell Miller in there with the cockiness and outright, again, how dare you think you can beat me? A little bit like he did in the AJ build-up when he told AJ, who do you think you are? Telling me not to disrespect you. Who do you think you are? Boom. You got yourself a mean machine. You got yourself a promotional pundit, a promotional wheel. Everybody wants to see happen. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, gosh. Would it be grand? Would it be glorious? No doubt about it. But even still, that's the road that Dubois is on. But when it comes to the road that AJ's on, this is a very big question. Is AJ, is he done? Is Anthony Joshua now done with all of this that we've talked about? I'm not saying, well, actually, it's a question. It's a question that's been thrown around. Does he need to retire? Is it time for him to say, no, you just don't got it no more? Well, let's put that debate right now. Absolutely not. No, that's ridiculous. Let's not be stupid. No. AJ does not need to retire. We're not going to do this thing where a couple losses, now if you got 4 losses, oh gosh, you are nothing. No, that's not true. It's not true at all. AJ can still come back. Again, we know what's there. It's a matter of putting it together. Like I've said multiple times on this episode, AJ was able to do one or the other. Either he's confident in his offense or he's incredibly textbook and technical, but he isn't confident in the power and doesn't trust his chin. One of the two. Either he trusts his chin and his power and his offensive ability, but is lax in his defensive ability. Or he doesn't trust his chin, is scared to throw his power, but technically he is as sound as you can get. It's one of the two. He hasn't put it together. But it doesn't mean that he needs to retire. It means he's got to find out where the hiccup is, and get over that hump to break down that barrier. That's what he's got to do. That's what he needs to do. Not to mention that when it comes to his resurgence as a whole, one of the biggest questions about him is, was it fake? Was everything that we were saying about AJ fake? All the buildup, the Ngannou KO, the Otto Arlene performance, the Robert Elenius KO, all of that, the stepping stones that we were seeing AJ take to get better and better, seemingly to recover from the Ruiz loss and finally get out of his own head of being a timid fighter. Was all of that fake? Was all of that false circumstance to show what AJ really was, and this fight really exposed who AJ is? Is this what we're seeing? And the answer to that is also no. This isn't a situation where we're looking at AJ and everything you did everything you did up until this point, was false and doesn't mean anything. No. We were saying Robert Elenius got beat by, and Robert Elenius, we'll start with Jermaine Franklin, I believe. Beat and boxed Franklin. First fight with Derek James, I believe, as the trainer. Boom. Technically sound, still looks timid and scared. You can watch me. I covered this whole saga in episodes in the past. Every fight with AJ, I talked about. Timid against Franklin. Gets a little more confidence. Next fight, Robert Elenius. Boom. Knocks him out. Wilder knocked him out. Now, what can you do, AJ? Can you one-up the other brother who is also making a resurgence in his career after his fights with Fury and Deontay Wilder? We want that fight to also happen. But boom, you got to show us something. What did he show? He got him out of there. Was a little timid, still a little scared, was more willing to throw the right hand, but even still, it was more so one-dimensional offense. But hey, there was something. It wasn't a lot, but it was something. Next comes, I believe, Otto Arlene. Goes and beats Otto Arlene, looks as confident as we've ever seen him. Looks or maybe it was before that. Was it before that or was that? Either way. Beats Otto Arlene and looks confident, looks great. I think before that or after that, beats Ngannou, who was looking like a world beater at that point in time when he beat up and should have won, in my estimation, against Tyson Fury. When everybody was saying that fight was a spectacle, that turned into an actual brawl. That turned into an actual boxing match. When Fury got put down on his butt, everybody was scared of what the world was going to happen with AJ. Now, next thing you know, bing, bang, boom, he gets him out of there in 2 rounds. Makes him look like child's play. The AJ of old is back. We were saying that. We were confident in that. We were saying this is great. He's fully back to the mentality of I'm better than you and you know it. We were all lauding that. Goes against Otto Arlene. Again, another destruction, dominating display. All Wilder had to do was win against Joseph Parker. We would have gotten AJ versus Wilder. Boom. AJ held up his end of the bargain, like I kept on saying. And no qualms. Looked phenomenal. Looked incredible. Looked like he put everything together. Fundamental soundness, confidence in his offense, no fear of getting hit or of his chin. with Otto Wallin being a respectable opponent who had cut and put Tyson Fury again to the brink in the past. Also a southpaw, I believe. Boom. Everything's looking like it's great. Now, this fight with Daniel Dubois does not negate what we saw. Does not negate the progress that we saw. Doesn't negate what we witnessed and what the context around every win that AJ had up until this win would do, up until this KO loss to Dubois. Every single fight was nothing. When I say nothing, I mean it was not something that was deemed a fluke. We was not that at all. We got to put that to bed right now. We're not going to take away the win of Dubois just to say, oh, AJ, you washed. AJ, you done. AJ, there's nothing about you. No, there is something about AJ. He did show progression. He did show that he gotten back. He did show that this is where he needed to be, that he was back at elite category. He was. He was. Outright, he was. Now, brother got beat. Plain and simple. Got destroyed because of a technical deficiency. But everything else about him up until this point doesn't negate what he is or what he was as a boxer. If anything, it compounds on the impressive nature of Dubois, again, who is fighting his own demons, battling his own issues, coming up with his own resurgence, and meeting another person who was also a desperate man to get to the top. Whose both of these people's careers were in the balance with the result of this win. AJ was, if AJ lost this fight, we're having these conversations like we are now of you need to hang it up. That was what we were saying. You're done at the top tier of heavyweight stardom. That's what people were going to talk about in terms of championship aspirations. Dubois, he loses against AJ. Well, you lost against Usyk. You lost against Joyce. You lost against AJ. Now, there's no reason to put you as a real prospect at all. So, we have to say, boom, boom, boom. This wasn't a fluke. It was an outright quality win. And with all that being said, what are the rankings of the heavyweight division now? With everything in flux, everything out of whack, with everything so crazy at this stage, what is the ranking of heavyweights as it stands today? What, at least for me, and what I would say, number one in the unified heavyweight champion, Usyk, reigns supreme. Number two, Tyson Fury. Number three, Daniel Dubois. Absolutely, no doubt in my mind, Daniel Dubois has now claimed and rightfully claimed the spot as the second best heavyweight in the world. Outright. There is, the third best heavyweight in the world, not second. Again, number one is Usyk. Number two is Fury. Number three, Daniel Dubois with this win. Number four, Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker with his resurgence, getting up from the canvas and beating Zhang, before that, beating Wilder, two highly contested and highly confident names. Especially Zhang, who was looking like he was going to be a rolling thunder in a storm coming into the heavyweight title landscape. Everybody was saying what the world he's going to do. Gets knocked down twice, gets up, beats, and outworks Zhang. Boom. Got to put him in third. Got to put Zhang at fourth. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Got to put Joseph Parker at fourth. Got to put Zhang at fifth due to what he's done. Up until, yes, he's had some up and downs, absolutely. But it's still, with him and Joseph Parker in that fight, it's still hotly contested and close. In every other fight, outside of the robbery from Hergovich, hey, he's shown his mettle. Now with Anthony Joshua, he gets bumped down the ladder. AJ's rank right now is sixth at this stage. Because it's not just the loss. It's also the performance. Was if he fought Zhang could get him out of there. He really could. Again, he might gas out, but the brother could get him out of there. And Joseph Parker, with his, again, the climb that he's been on, deserves to be higher. Dubois, of course, deserves to be higher. AJ's back at the back of the line. We have to say he's at the back of the line. There's no plausible reason in my estimation, to have him now ranked above these other fighters who have been on a tear, on a trek, and have all looked in their fights with each other highly, at least compared to what we saw with Anthony Joshua against Dubois. Boom. They look like contenders. Again, Usyk 1, Fury 2. Dubois, third best heavyweight. Joseph Parker, fourth best heavyweight. Jean, fifth. AJ, sixth. He's at the back of the line now. He's, 34? If I have my age correctly. Anthony Joshua is, I believe, 33 or 34 years old. Let me fact check real quick just to make sure I am in the right. Yeah, AJ's 34. AJ is looking for a situation, is at a situation, where the brother, how much longer can you stand at the top of the mountain? How much longer are you going to be able to show yourself as something spectacular? How much longer is it going to be that you are actually making and doing what needs to be done when it comes to the heavyweight division? Is it a situation where we're looking at? Is it a situation where we're looking? I'm sorry, I was trying to make sure the stream was working as accordingly. But is it a situation where we're looking at AJ being, again, irreversible, or it's over for him? No, but he deserves to be at the back of the line due to, at this stage, with who beat you, the performance that you put on in this fight, on top of the countless times that you've been at the top of them, or at least been close to top of the mountain, getting opportunities. But we got to say what we got to say. This is a situation where you respect the hierarchy at this point, and he's back in the back of the line. And will this be his last opportunity to get a shot at the title? That's the genuine question. He's still a mega star. He's still huge. Still phenomenal. Still is one of the best in boxing in terms of as a name and as a talent, as a spectacle. But as long as people like Fury and Usyk, and at this stage Daniel Dubois, are at the top of the division, what is it that he can do? Can he beat any of these three? I already know that he can't beat Usyk. We assume that he won't be able to beat Fury. Assume. Though we were saying that with his speed and technical ability, it could be something that still gives Fury some trouble, a la what we saw Francis Ngannou, but a better version. But even still, that's undecided. Now you see with Dubois, you lost to him. So it's a situation where, brother, you are on the outskirts. And it's going to take a monumental effort, and I'm talking an incredible feat for you to work your way back up to the mountaintop and get a shot at any form of title in the near future. It's going to be a tough rebuild. It's going to be a very, extremely tough rebuild for you. And if you can't make it happen, I understand, because time catches up to us all. But even still, brother, it's you don't make it happen. We might start looking at what AJ's legacy is. Maybe not now. Maybe down the line, though. Gonna start having to have those conversations about tail end of your career, what you've done, where is your rank? Because most likely it's not gonna move. It's a genuine question. It's a genuine question. And so because of that, it's like, shoot, I don't want to say that it's the beginning of the end of AJ. I really don't. Because I think he can come back. I believe he can retool, regroup, and get what he needs done. Because again, it's not the mental game anymore that's hurt. It's not the mental game that's messing him up. Now, it's the physical, technical ability that failed him in this fight. It really is. That's the biggest thing that failed him. He never made the adjustment. He fixes that now, and he puts the two blended styles together of fundamental defensive responsibility and offensive confidence and firepower. as well as no fear and the, again, I'm better than you mentality, could very well go and get back to the top of the top three in the division. There's no question, because we know what AJ is. However, at this point, if he doesn't, it's a very concerning prospect as to what the nature of his legacy will be. What, in fact, do we need to start looking now at what his legacy is? Because it may not improve anymore, potentially. And as we wind down the show, looking over the landscape of heavyweight boxing as a whole, it is a monumental feat that we have seen so many upsets happen. Again, Zhang beat John KOs Wilder. Zhang loses to Joseph Parker. Then we see Fury lose to Usyk. Then we see Dubois beating AJ. But again, Usyk beat AJ and Usyk beat Dubois. And so it's like the one man has conquered everybody, and that's Usyk. But then everybody else, it's been a situation where, shoot, brother, it is in flux, but it's the best thing for heavyweight boxing. It's the best thing for the division as a whole. This is what boxing needs. This is what we all need as fans. We need this level of unpredictability. We need this level of outright confusion, because it makes for everything to be exciting. Because now everybody has to pay attention to everybody. Jared Anderson just knocked out Martin Bacoli. Jared Anderson versus Dubois may be a real thing. Well, let's see AJ versus Bacoli. That would be a great thing. Like we got so many fights now that are viable that we need to pay attention to, that people need to understand this isn't just a division run by just three people. There are other stars. And you know what? Everybody's now fighting each other. Again, it's the benefit of what we see from Turkish Al Sheikh, but also just the landscape of boxing as a whole, the mentality changing to some degree, slowly but surely. Everybody's getting in the ring with everybody. Nobody's wasting time, or at least they're wasting less time, in stepping in the ring with other contenders. Now, to a degree, it's more so circumstances are they're forced to, because, again, a lot of these fighters are old. Usyk's plus 35, Fury's plus 35, AJ's 34. And so, ironically enough, Dubois is the youngest out of all of them at 27 years old. He hasn't even hit the prime of his career. And he's already been in the ring with Joyce, Usyk, and AJ. Sky's the limit for what this brother can be. Again, learning as he goes. Now he can turn into a real weapon of destruction and be the next, legitimate, the next face of the heavyweight division. With what we see his path is right now, if it improves. But even still, with Anthony Joshua, we're looking at him and we're looking at the rest of the division, and everybody's viable. Because everybody's beatable. Outside of what's perceived to be with Usyk, everybody in some way, shape, or form is beatable. Has a chink in the armor. Has a opening that can be attained by somebody in the division. Jared Anderson with Martin Bacoli, if you got power and size and a chin, you can walk down Anderson. Take him out. With Parker, hey, if you got enough power, you can put that brother down. You legitimately can. But can you outlast him with stamina? Big Ben Jong, I got the power to knock anybody out in the division. But if you can outlast me, I can lose. Dubois, well, I did have a problem with my chin. Now I ain't got that no more. Now I got heart. Now let's see who can test me and push you to a limit that I can't reach yet. But right now, I'm at a new level. In Anthony Joshua, I got power. I'm retooling. I'm resurging. But I got a weak chin. And right now, I'm in flux and caught between being defensively responsible and being disrespectfully offensive, like we saw in this fight. Everything is in flux when it comes to the heavyweight division, and it's the best thing for heavyweights as a whole. It's the best thing for boxing as a whole, because now everybody has to pay attention to the heavyweight division, and the heavyweight division is it's the drama division. It is the prize fighting division. It is you can argue Not from a talent perspective, but from an outright global acclaim. It's the best division in boxing because of one, the storied history, and two, the box office appeal. There is no fight like a prime heavyweight brawl. It's very rare because anybody can be beat at any moment. It used to be at the heavyweight division nobody cared about because it was so lax with talent. Nobody fought anybody. Now, everything's up in the open. Everybody, nearly everybody, got a loss on their record. Everybody is showing that they're vulnerable, which means everybody's viable, which also means every fight it has a level of entertainment value and intrigue. And there are more stars to be made and more actual matchups that people will want to care about. This is great for boxing. This is great for the heavyweight division. This is great as a whole for everybody in the sport. And because of that, you can't get better. You really can't get better than it. It's phenomenal. And very quickly, as we are drawing near to the end of the show, Jaime Munguia fought last night and KOs Bazinyan. Bazinyan, I believe I'm saying his name right. In his first fight since getting beat by Canelo. And again, looked like the Munguia that we had seen in the past. Was constantly being aggressive. Ironically enough, though, was getting hit with that jab. Was being not hurt, but was being peppered with that jab by Bazinyan. Was getting caught through his guard by Bazinyan. Some clean shots were landed by Bazinyan on Munguia. But as the fight went on, we saw the adaptation. Now we saw the head movement that wasn't working in the past working now. Now we saw the actual defensive ability of Munguia start to shine through a little bit. We see some of the stuff that we saw Canelo doing to Munguia. Now Munguia is doing to other people. This is great. This is what we need to see. This is learning. Again, it wasn't just outright pretty. It was a Munguia fight. It was action-packed. It was aggressive. He was throwing big shots. We get it. But there were blips of, hey, the brother's onto something. The brother's doing something right. He's taking what he learned and is evolving. Maybe it may not be as apparent as we saw with Canelo, just outright bing, bang, boom. Oh, he's a different brother entirely. But Munguia is adapting. We are seeing it. We absolutely are seeing it with Jaime Munguia. And we saw it in this fight. And as the rounds went on, got more aggressive, got around that jab, started slipping and being more defensive with what Bazinyan was throwing his way. Landing to the body, being consistent with his attack, like we never getting away from his identity, which is great. Phenomenal. So glad Munguia didn't do that. Didn't get away from what he is as a boxer. He is a swarmer. He is a smotherer. He is a brother who wants to brawl and wants to bring the hurt and bring the pain. And understood that if he gets too busy, he will hurt him. And that's exactly what he did. Hurt him multiple times and inevitably knocked him out. Now, later in the fight, as he keeps on progressing, as he keeps on looking to get back into a championship aspiration, this is going to be great. And I can't wait to see what Munguia does as he continues to evolve in the super middleweight division. It's going to be something that now that he's here to stay, and as he continues to grow, Munguia is going to be something special. Maybe I'm predicting too early. Maybe I'm just, again, maybe just a hopeless romantic when it comes to the boxing potential of people. But I'm telling you, Munguia is showing something. And as we see his career continue to unfold, because he is still very young, we're going to see that when he hits his final form, that brother's going to be a monster to beat. That brother's going to be something special to watch. Trust and believe. My gosh, it's going to be something special. And before we leave, for my NFL fans out there, I didn't forget about you. We still got some stuff to cover in the NFL, like with, again, Ravens now finally getting the first win against the Cowboys. Cowboys now losing 2 straight. Real quick, Dallas, what is going on? This is a struggle now. This is the problem. Dallas in the NFL, how in the world is it that you get that dominating win you get that dominating win in your opening game, get trounced by the Browns, and then now against a Ravens team that is still looking to find its footing, you then still find a way to drop a game, and you have the personnel, but it again never fails, continually every single time. What can go wrong we're going, I don't want to quote Stephen A, but it's at this point, it's been an actual true statement. Every time we think that there's potential with the squad, something goes awry. And the game gets given away. Again, this is a Ravens squad with Justin Tucker not even being at his best. Derrick Henry, I believe, had a phenomenal game, if I have my stats correctly. Lamar Jackson leading that squad to victory. Again, come back. When it seemed like Dallas had it in the bag, boom. We're looking at a situation where the Ravens finally got their first win, finally got their footing. We look to see if that duo of Lamar and Derrick Henry is going to be as potent as I see it can be. But if it doesn't, shoot, what a mistake by the Ravens. And potentially, with this being, I thought this was going to be the piece that helps put them over the hump with their offensive ability. Maybe that's not what they needed. Again, time will tell. They got a dub. Derrick Henry had a good game. Lamar Jackson, again, still being Lamar Jackson. But if this doesn't work out, we may have some issues. But the biggest story of the entire NFL week was the Carolina Panthers actually getting a win. My gosh. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? It's a shock to the system. It is. I'm in awe. I'm in awe. It would seem like it was impossible. It seemed like it would never happen. It seemed like it would be destined to fail. But my gosh, they came, they saw, and they conquered under a new captain in Andy Dalton. That is right. This is the first game that Bryce Young got benched in after it was announced last week. Again, we're not starting that brother no more. Now, all of a sudden, with an offense that was putrid, abysmal, utterly despicable to watch, horrifying as a Carolina fan, and just horrifying for the league as a whole, almost sad. Now looks rejuvenated, revived, put up 36 points, scored more points in the first half than we had seen Bryce Young score in 2 games. Dare I say for the first half of the season last year that we saw Bryce Young put up as a starter. Again, Bryce Young 2-16 on the year. So this is a situation where, look, was it that the Panthers were bad? And they were, don't get me wrong. But was it also that Bryce Young was the problem? Because we were saying, I was saying, Ed the Link was saying, organization's bad. David Tepper is horrible. Nothing is good down in Carolina. Everything is a mess, and there is no room for anybody to grow. The worst opportunity for any young quarterback to be in would be in Carolina. That's what we were all consensually saying. There was no doubt in any of our minds, friend or foe, fan or hater, that Carolina was the worst place in football. In terms of from a game playing perspective. If you wanted to get on a win streak or get out of a slump, go play Carolina to feel good about yourself. That's what we were saying. And for a season in 3 games, that was the case. But my gosh, Andy Dalton comes in and puts up a monster game in his first start. Only quarterback with 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in the NFL right now. Patrick Mahomes ain't done that. Josh Allen ain't done that. Lamar Jackson ain't done that. Nobody. Baker Mayfield with his resurgence, he ain't done that. Nobody's done that except for Andy Dalton. 319 yards, 3 touchdowns, 26 of 37 on the day. Again, the team looked completely different. Chuba Hubbard, I believe, had 100 yards. Every receiver got touches. Adam Thielen scoring touchdowns. Xavier Legette getting play and getting used like the star, or at least like the rookie star that we thought he was going to be when he got drafted to Carolina as a number 1 option for the Panthers. The O-line was holding up. The defense looked different. Everything about this squad looked sublime. Everything about this squad looked wonderful. This looked like a completely different organization. This looked like a night. This did not look like the same team in any way, shape, or form. The offense had energy. The offense had pop. The running game looked substantial, looked consistent. The weapons that we thought couldn't get any separation last year, all of a sudden this year, or at least in this game with Andy Dalton, getting found out left, right, and center. Everybody looked viable. Nothing looked bad. Again, dominating the Raiders, who are not a bad defensive team. Like, putting up 36 points, we couldn't put up 10 in 2 games, is a testament to the veteran leadership of Andy Dalton. Now it looks to see, Bryce, what are you doing? And again, Dalton, 3-time Pro Bowler, been to the playoffs 4 times with Cincinnati, was one of the better quarterbacks in the league in his prime, undoubtedly. But this was supposed to be, hey, Bryce Young's show. Now we see that Bryce Young, maybe it's not your show because you're the one that's ruining the play. Maybe you're the one maybe you are the problem in Carolina more than anything. Again, David Tepper is still bad. Let's not get that twisted. David Tepper is still bad. There were idiotic trades that were done for this team. There were idiotic moves made by the owner, going through a cycle of 3 coaches, not keeping a coach that had this team going 6-6, nearly getting to the playoffs when we had traded away Christian McCaffrey. Not a carousel that we were seeing Bryce Young go through, that we were like no other quarterback in the world has this problem coming into the league. But still, regardless of all of that's still true. All of that is still absolutely true. But when it comes to Andy Dalton and Bryce Young now, this is the same offense. This is the same team. This is outright the same organization. There has been no change except for one person behind the wheel of this offense. And next thing you know, everybody on both sides of the floor look rejuvenated and look like they're ready to go through a brick wall. It was a shock. And this was the offense that we were saying, hey, maybe the coaches ain't got it. Maybe it was a lie that he's a quarterback guru. Maybe it was just a quarterback can't play, potentially. Now again, I don't want to say that it's concrete. I don't want to say that that's outright true. I don't want to say that that is the thing. Bryce Young, you're a bum. I don't want to say that. Now, Tom Brady made a great point in the past. Rookies being unfairly thrusted into situations that are not conducive to actual winning. It makes it so that everybody is expected to be great. Everybody ain't Peyton Manning. One year play bad, next year you're an all-pro star and one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Everybody ain't that. Everybody ain't Cam Newton. Coming in early on, bing, bang, boom, success. Everybody isn't that. And some people need development. Understand it. When it comes to Bryce Young still, this offense with no changes looks so much better. Bryce Young may be the problem. And it may not be the scheme. It may not be the team. It may be him. Because it's been 2 years of no production. Same squad. Next thing you know, Dalton comes in and looks like the Red Rocket of old, the Red Rifle of old. Gunning down wide receivers left, right, and center. Dicing up defenses like it's nothing. This is what we're looking at when it comes to Andy Dalton. Yes, he's a veteran. But also, with him and these same weapons, we didn't expect this level of success. Maybe. When you start looking at Bryce Young and asking, is it that you were ill-equipped? Or is it that you aren't good? Period. Now wait and see. Give it some time. See if we see Andy Dalton continually winning or having the offense looking like an actual offense for the rest of this season. Because I doubt they're going to bench him now for Bryce Young. And Bryce Young might have just lost his starting job outright. Which ain't bad. He can learn, he can grow, he can develop under the leadership and under the games of Andy Dalton. But if we see that Andy Dalton continues to play at this high level, see that this offense has a semblance of what we saw against the Raiders and looks conducive to actually function, to half of what we see with the Panthers or what we saw with the Panthers this past week against the Raiders, we got ourselves a conundrum. My gosh, we got ourselves a concerning prospect for what the Carolina needs to do. Because they might have just made a mistake. Genuine. In getting Bryce Young and trading away all these other pieces. When we could have still had Christian McCaffrey. Could have still had DJ Moore. Could have still had DJ Burns. Could have still had a lot of the pieces that we let go. On top of having Jadeveon Clowney. On top of having J.C. Horn. We could have had all this. And Andy Dalton under center. Simply signing a veteran could have potentially turned this whole organization around. Seemingly. But again, hindsight is only 20/20 once we get further down the line. We ain't gotten further down the line yet. Once we do though, halfway through the season, we're going to see what this team is really about. But right now, it's looking great for Andy Dalton. Carolina's got hope with something we never thought they had. But Bryce Young, seat's starting to get hot. It's starting to get hot, and you ain't even play. The seat's starting to get hot on what you are and what you're expected to be now. And the trade may be coming down the pipe potentially with what we see with Andy Dalton producing on this Carolina squad. You may not be in Carolina for long, potentially. We'll have to wait and see because only time will tell. But with that being said, this has been another episode of the Welch Report with me, Jean-Luc Welch. Thank you for tuning in and listening to the show. Yes, indeed, we got another live stream in the books. Thanks to all 42 of you dropped in and tuned by. Again, like the stream, go and rewatch it if you can. Get it and share it with everybody that you know so we can keep on building up this show, building up this empire together. Absolutely. And again, don't be afraid to comment. Don't be afraid to tell your opinions on all of this. And again, we still got more to cover as the weeks go on. We'll be locked in and every week bring you something special about the sports world. Absolutely, whether it's boxing, NBA, or much more, you can't get better than right here on the Welch Report. But again, I've been Jean-Luc Welch. Y'all have been wonderful. Peace and love. We are out of here.